Hello and welcome to our quarterly webinar. This is our second and third quarter update. So we're giving you a 2-for-1 deal this time around. And we're talking, of course, about developments inside the NHT impacting your contributors, our mortgagers, and of course, our business partners. My name is Dwayne Burbick and I'll be your moderator for this session. And thank you so much for joining us, whether you're coming to us on YouTube, Instagram, or via Facebook. We thank you so much and we appreciate your support. And don't just join us today, make sure you hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button so you can stay in touch with our pages and you can get more updates from the NHT right at your fingertips. So in today's focus, we're talking about the NHT's Employer Arrears Amnesty, which started on July 1. And so we're checking in with our compliance team to see what benefits they are still available to employers in arrears and just generally some tips on managing those NHT contributions. Speaking of contributions, we say at the NHT, your contributions count. So we'll also be hearing from a business operator on their relationship with the NHT. Those will come a bit later, but first we want to acknowledge the impact that Hurricane Beryl has had on our mortgagers. The hurricane hit in July, and immediately the NHT responded with some measures to assist people who have been impacted and to help them get back on track. And if you haven't applied for any of those benefits yet, don't worry, there's still some time for you to do that. We'll be looking at those measures in detail and how to apply by November 30 so you can benefit. That's our first topic today. Our conversation begins on the other side of this break.
Hey homeowners, thinking about fixing up your home? The NHT just made it easier with the 10+ loan. Basically, if you bought your house with the NHT 10 years or more ago and you've been keeping up with your payments, you can get a second loan for renovations. The loan is up to $3.5 million and the interest rate depends on your income. Apply at your local NHT branch if they service your mortgage or with your original mortgage partner. Thinking of doing it with a partner? Great! You can both apply, get a combined rate based on your incomes, and qualify for a higher loan amount, up to $7 million. You'll have up to 20 years or age 70 to repay, whichever comes first. NHT, making homeownership easier and improvements possible. Head to nht.gov.jm for more information on how to apply for your 10+ loan today.
Welcome back and thanks again for joining us. Natural disasters are part of our reality here in the Caribbean, and according to the World Bank, Jamaica ranks as the third most exposed globally to multiple hazards, with over 90% of the country's gross domestic product and population at risk for 2 or more disasters. And we got a glimpse of that in July when the island experienced Hurricane Beryl and sections of the island were severely impacted. Our affected mortgagers, well, thankfully they were able to access their peril insurance coverage, but to further boost the recovery efforts, the NHT implemented 3 special initiatives. There is a special home improvement loan, a disaster grant, and a post-hurricane peril moratorium. I'm joined today by Leslie and Sadai from our Customer Relations Management team to share a little more about these initiatives. Hi, Leslie, and welcome.
Hi, Dwayne. Thank you for having me.
Great. So we have a loan, we have a grant, and we have a moratorium. Which one do you want to start?
Free money.
Free money.
Free
Spin
money.
the wheel, free money.
All
So
right.
let's start with the special disaster grant. Tell me a little bit about that.
All right, so NHT's disaster grant is designed to help homeowners who would have experienced damage as a result of Hurricane Beryl. It is a grant of up to $300,000, so $300,000 free that can be used towards repairing the unit. Now, all we ask of you is that you submit your application, provide proof of the damage, as well as a few documentation that you should have on hand, your ID, TRN, NIS, and complete the application form, and that's it.
It's $300,000, Leslie. You make it sound too easy. There must be some catch to it. There must be some catch to it, man. What are customers really being asked to provide to access this grant?
There is no catch. The closest thing that would come to a catch is that you cannot get more than you need. So if you only lost a shingle and the shingle costs $10, we will not be giving you more than $10.
Not $300,000, $10.
No. So once you provide the invoice and we have verified the damage, then we will pay you accordingly.
Let's take it back a little. You say it's for contributors who experience damage during Hurricane Beryl.
Yes.
Is that all contributors?
No, not all contributors. So you would have to be a homeowner. And
Right.
we do understand that some homeowners, they are not currently contributors. That may apply to persons who, are a little elderly, who
Right.
may have retired. So in those instances, we actually allow a child who is a current contributor to apply for the grant on their behalf.
Oh, great. So look, let's go back to those eligibility criteria. So you must first have damage as a result of Hurricane Beryl to your property. You must be a current NHT contributor, and where you are not a current NHT contributor, someone in the household who is a contributor can make that application on your behalf.
That's correct.
What am I missing? The $300,000, of course.
$300,000, yes.
And the application process, how do people actually put in that application?
So you can actually go to our website at www.nht.gov.jm and apply. The application, while it is online, we understand that not everybody has that type of accessibility. So you can actually submit your application to a branch office or a service center near you, and they will assist.
So you can either download the form from the website, fill it out and drop it off, or probably just actually go to the branch or service center and get a form there.
Yes.
So Leslie, is it everyone who applies for this grant who will get it?
Unfortunately, no. We do look at them on a case-by-case basis, and where we see that there really is a genuine need, then we are more likely to assist.
And you said up to $300,000.
Up to $300,000.
So what will the NHT use to determine that as part of the selection process, or determining how much any applicant will get?
So what we use to determine is the invoice, which is one of the required documents. So you would have to furnish an invoice to state what will be needed to effect repairs, and that is what will be used to determine how much is paid out to you.
Okay, great. And is there a specific time by which individuals must submit applications?
Yes, we are asking that our customers submit their application by November 30th, and this extends to all our disaster relief programs.
All right. So disaster relief programs, we've covered the grant. Which one you want to take on next?
We can look at the loan.
We can look at the loan. Tell me about that special home improvement loan.
So that special home improvement loan, NHT will give eligible contributors up to $1.5 million to effect repairs. These contributors must be named on title, must live and occupy in the premises that they would like to repair. Your interest rate, it is going to ride with your current income. So it's either, NHT currently offers interest rates between a low of 0% or 5%. So what is applied would be dependent on your income, and you will have a maximum loan term of 15 years to repay, or up to age 70, whichever comes first.
So let's recap those terms real quick, just in case some people just joining us and maybe miss them. So a special home improvement loan for homeowners who were impacted by Hurricane Beryl.
Yes.
And the loan amount is $1.5 million. Successful applicants have how long to repay?
They have up to 15 years.
15 years, and an interest rate that's in keeping with their current income band, along with the NHT's interest rate structure.
Correct.
Now, one of the questions I imagine some people would ask, Leslie, if accessing this particular special home improvement loan would impact their ability to perhaps access other NHT benefits, whether now or in the future.
And the answer is no. We understand that nobody could have predicted the damage that Beryl caused. And this is just an initiative that NHT has put in place just to help our contributors. And we wouldn't want it to affect your ability to get another entitlement from us in the future.
Okay, I mentioned earlier that the NHT generally has peril insurance coverage for NHT's mortgagors, so those individuals who service their mortgages at NHT only. And perhaps some persons would have tapped into that already, but what say the improvements or the repairs that are necessary go beyond the amount that they access under the peril insurance coverage? Can they apply for the grant that we touched on before, and also this particular special home improvement facility?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons why we allow the double application, even with the peril insurance, peril comes with an excess amount, right?
Right.
And we do understand that for some people, that excess, you need something to kind of bridge that gap between what it is the insurance will pay out versus the actual cost.
To repairs.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. So you can get the grant as well as your peril insurance payout. You could have made that application, and you can access the loan as well.
Okay, so to put in an application for this loan, what are some of the documents that perhaps some customers would be required to submit? I know there's a full list on the NHT's website, so I'm not pressuring your brain to go through the whole list, but some of the main ones that.
All right, so I won't go through the entire loan checklist. I will spare you and our viewers that time. I will point out the important ones because it is a loan.
Right.
It would follow our home improvement loan requirements as is on the checklist on our website. What would really stand out for this particular benefit type would be, again, you would have to provide invoices to substantiate the amount that is needed, in addition to photographs of the damage. It is a special facility, and those are the two additional things that would be required.
Outside of what's generally on your loan checklist.
Required, yes.
For most NHT loan benefits, the NHT allows two contributors to apply. Would that obtain where this particular special home improvement facility is concerned?
Yes, absolutely. So two persons can co-apply, but the loan would still be capped at 1.5 in total. So it would be 1.5 per collateral.
So just in case, based off age or income, one applicant would not be able to carry the entire
loan amount.
Yes. You could actually co-apply with one other person, up to the maximum of 1.5 million.
Absolutely.
So we are 2 of 3 so far, Leslie. We've covered the grant, we've covered the loan. The third one now would be our mortgage moratorium.
Yes.
Tricky word. If you could break that one down for me a little.
Say it 3 times fast.
Moratorium. I'm not even sure what I'm saying after the second one. But what's that really, and what can the existing homeowner or mortgager who has their mortgage with the NHT expect under that?
All right, I love that you corrected it to mortgager, because that's really who it is for. So firstly, the moratorium is really for our mortgagers that kind of fall halfway in between. So they may have applied for the peril, or they don't necessarily need the peril, but what they need is a bit of wiggle room. So what that moratorium does is extend or gives you a reprieve from your mortgage payment for a maximum of 6 months. So you can actually apply, and we will push your mortgage payments back for up to 6 months, depending on the need. Yes.
Okay, so is it all the mortgage payment that would be pushed back, or just some components of it? Or if my mortgage is $80,000, I'm just not to pay the $80,000 for 6 months?
Postpone it for up to 6 months.
Up to 6 months.
Up to 6 months. But there is a caveat with this one. We would not have vanished your mortgage payments into thin air.
Right.
So you still have to repay. So it's deferred in a sense. So you may find that your mortgage payments go up ever so slightly when you resume paying. Okay,
so I break my payments for up to 6 months.
Yes.
And I determine how long I want it, or will the NHT in its assessment determine?
The NHT will make an assessment and determine what is needed.
Okay, so let's say I get up to the full 6 months. I break in my payments up to 6 months. However, after that, the NHT will do what? Reschedule my mortgage to add back that amount that I hadn't been paying for the period and give me a new repayment amount.
Yes.
But Leslie, what if the new repayment amount I can't manage it? How does that work?
Well, that is something that we take into consideration at the front end. We don't just reschedule
Right.
just so, because we would have taken your affordability into consideration at the forefront, not just of the loan, but when we are rescheduling you, because we don't want to put you in a worse position when it is that your mortgage does resume.
And is there some amount of flexibility too to perhaps even extend the loan tenure if needs be to ensure that those monthly payments are made on time and in full?
Well, if needs be, again, NHT is flexible in how we treat our customers. So we do look at certain things on a case-by-case basis.
And so that's a mortgage moratorium. That's for existing NHT mortgagors. And you need to have, and I mean, we have different mortgage relationships. This one is specifically for those whose mortgages are serviced at the NHT.
Directly at the NHT.
Directly at the NHT, right. And up to 6 months, which is a break in your mortgage payments, you get some amount of reprieve, and then you can pick up thereafter.
Yes.
All right, that doesn't sound bad.
No, not
moratorium,
at all.
loan, and
money.
the big one that you love, the free money, the grant.
Yes.
We spoke about the November 30 for the grant. Is that the same deadline for all of these special initiatives?
It extends to all of our disaster relief programs. So if it is that you feel like one of these apply to you, one or more, please come in for processing before the 30th of November.
All right, so wrap them up again. November 30, you have to put in that application for your NHT special disaster relief initiatives. You can get a grant of up to $300,000, a special home improvement loan of $1.5 million, or a break in those mortgage payments for up to 6 months under a special moratorium. Thank you very much, Leslie.
Thank you, Dwayne.
If anyone wants more information, of course, you can visit the NHT's website, nht.gov.jm. We're talking compliance on the other side of this break.
We only have one Earth, and therefore, in every way we can, we should protect it. Protecting the Earth also means using alternative energy sources that's good for the environment and easier on your pocket. The NHT's Smart Energy Loan can help. This loan offers up to $1.5 million to upgrade your home with solar panels or other alternative energy systems. You can also use it for solar water heaters, rainwater harvesting, and more. All at a low 5% interest rate, and you'll have 10 years to repay. Imagine lower electricity bills, a greener future, and a guaranteed water supply during droughts. NHT, making homeownership easier and improvements possible. Head to nht.gov.jm for more information on how to apply for your Smart Energy Loan today.
Welcome back to our conversation, and thanks so much for staying with us. Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, are bread and butter. Pretty much they are the backbone of our economy, contributing significantly to the island's GDP. However, they are also the most vulnerable to economic shifts and shocks, and I think we saw that full force during the COVID-19 pandemic. And it is with that in mind that National Housing Trust launched an arrears amnesty program to support our business community, specifically our MSMEs and charitable entities in their financial recovery efforts. In addition, over the past several months, the NHT has been actively engaging with the public, particularly the business and self-employed communities across the island, through its Compliance 365 Expo series. Now, this initiative aims to further support these entities and foster strong compliance practices. In this segment, I'm talking compliance with Compliance Manager Delia Williams. Hi, Delia.
Hi, Dwayne.
Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem. Let's start with the Employers Arrears Amnesty. Tell me a little bit about that. Why did the NHT start that program?
The Employers Arrears Amnesty was designed to assist, or as you had mentioned, our micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. We recognize that some of our employers have fallen back on their contributions to the NHT, and so the NHT developed this program to assist them. What you find is that employers are required to remit to the NHT 5% of their wage bill on a monthly basis, with 2% representing the employee's contribution, and this is taken directly from the employee's salary,
right.
and a 3%, which is on behalf of the employers. And so many of them have fallen behind. Could be different reasons,
Right.
economic conditions, as you had mentioned. And so this program came into being just to assist them to get back on track.
Is that the only group of employers or institutions, organizations that can participate in the amnesty?
We have the charitable organizations as well, as long as they have 50 and less employees and an annual revenue of less than $425 million. So those are the organizations that we're geared at. Really.
And that 425 million is not just for the charitable institutions, it's for the small businesses
as well.
All right. So what does this amnesty provide really in real terms?
All right. So it allows our employers, as I said, to get back on track. So what we do is this amnesty came with 3 bands. And we had already completed the first band, which you would have known. And I really wanted all our employers to capitalize on that one because that was a great one.
Yes, it started in July and up to September. You could have gotten a full waiver.
100% for the arrears on the employers and employees' interest, and 20% for the employers. However, we are now in the second band, and it goes up to December 31, 2024. This time, though, it's 100% waiver on the interest associated with the employees and employers' contributions.
Okay.
What you'll find, too, in order to be able to apply for this amnesty is that all outstanding contributions up to December 2023 must be paid.
Okay.
We also ask that the annual returns be submitted, and that's what we call the SO2, as well as the monthly return, which is the SO1, be submitted. So we encourage our employers to submit these returns in order to be qualified for the amnesty. There is also the current period, which is January through to the current, at the time when they're applying for the amnesty. We're asking that this amount be paid up. Now, we know it's difficult, and many of them might not be able to, but we are willing to make an arrangement with them for the current period.
Because I could hear some of the employers say, Dele, you want me to come and get the amnesty, you want me to come and get the reprieve, but you also ask me to pay up some money and get my house in order. But the stress, that's why I am not there. So we're saying, don't focus on the fact that you perhaps don't have everything.
Everything, right.
Put in your application for the amnesty and see what kind of arrangements that you can get into with the NHT to cover all that is outstanding, right?
Yes.
And I like the emphasis that it's not just on collecting the money, but it's also to ensure that there is good housekeeping, that the books up to 2023 and to current must be also, we put that as part of the amnesty to ensure that everything is in order.
Yes, which, after all, we're getting them back on track.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how do organizations put in their application? They've heard all this wonderful 100% waiver. They want to take advantage of that. How do they?
Applications are submitted online.
Right.
And so persons can go onto our NHT online system, and you can download the application forms or complete them online, and then they are uploaded online. Now, we know that there are individuals who may not be computer savvy and might not be able to do that, but we, at the offices, NHT offices island-wide, we are willing and able to assist our employers, but they are submitted online. I
was about to ask you that if there's some amount of support that is available.
We are willing to do that.
Happy to hear that. But we've been doing this since July. What has the feedback been like? And probably from your perspective, what are probably some of the errors that people are making as it relates to submitting the applications that you want to, give some tips and advice?
Well, the possible errors that would have had, because persons are thinking that it's just contributions. So what you'll find is that some persons are not thinking that they should be filing their annual returns, or the returns should have been in, all the returns. So you'll find the non-submission of returns can affect the processing, which we will encourage them, and we will assist them in preparing the return as well.
Right.
You find the non-submission of the current period, the non-submission on the payment, current period. So you find that sometimes they will come in and pay up the back years up to 2023.
Right.
But the current period, they're thinking that that's not a part of the amnesty. And that is why we say if they're not able to pay the contributions, we can make an arrangement with them to have that liquidated.
Right. The emphasis is not on collecting the money. The emphasis is just sorting out your business.
Yes.
Make sure you're legit. Make sure everything is running properly. So July to September, you missed that band already.
Yes.
Sorry, that was the best one, the sweetener. But you still have this opportunity between October and December to put in an application. And you mentioned online. Is it online on the NHT's website?
Yes.
What are the specific instructions you want to give there as it relates to application?
So the applications, as I mentioned before, so this band, what we're doing is just that it's 100% on both interest associated with employers and employees' arrears. So we want our employers to go online, access the application forms, complete the application forms, and submit them to us. If they're, as I said, if they're unable to do that, come into us and we will assist them in doing so. So they need to be able to access the information and submit the information to us.
And once the form is submitted, once they put in the application, what happens next on the NHT side? In other words, how quickly are they likely to hear from the NHT after?
All right. Eventually, we will be communicating with our customer in the interim because each parish, each location will get the applications that are submitted for their parish. But the final say will be in May of next year when you will be getting your written document to say that you have been approved for the amnesty.
Okay, so we take the applications and we work with the business through the process to ensure that everything is cleared. And once the period ends, then we will submit. We will prepare for them and give them their
advice.
All right, but let's talk about compliance generally. Your team has been everywhere, gone through most parishes, bringing this kind of message to businesses to ensure that they stay NHT compliant. Why is that important?
I must tell you, though, the next parish is Westmoreland.
Yeah, I never said it earlier, but Dela is compliance manager for Westmoreland. So she's making her Westmoreland plug. Go right ahead. I'll send you the bill after.
So we want all our employers to be compliant.
Yes.
We want to ensure that they're in good standing with the organization. And not just for the business sake, for the workers as well that they have. Because you'll find a number of employees coming to NHT to ask about their contributions and not recognizing that nothing has been paid for them. So we want to make the employers aware of the importance of contributing and that it just does not benefit their organization, but it also benefits their workers. And I believe if it benefits your workers, they will want to put more into the job.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't want to just gloss over that important point you just made of, contributions being deducted but not reaching the NHT. What does the NHT do in these circumstances? And in particular, what's the role of your team, your compliance team?
For the compliance department, as a matter of fact, the employees now have access where they can go on. Once you're registered with NHT, you can go online to check your information. There are some who may not be able to do that or might not want to do that. They come into the office, so the compliance department, we'll go on the system and we verify. Now, if we recognize that the employer is not making these contributions, it's for us now to take it a little further. But before we go to the last resort that NHT would have done as to litigate, we first have a conversation with our employer. We talk with them. We work through things with them. If we have to make arrangements with them, we will do that. So we work with our employers and show them the importance of contributing, being compliant, and ensuring that their employees are okay when it comes to accessing a benefit from the NHT.
All right. And what are those benefits? Let's talk about them. Firstly, let me put on keep on your compliance hat and talk about the benefits of being NHT compliant for a business.
For a business, the first thing it gives you a peace of mind. I really do believe that the employee will have a peace of mind. It speaks of transparency. So your information at any time we can come in and audit you. It provides tax compliance certificates, and we know tax compliance certificate is crucial for doing business anywhere in Jamaica.
Right.
And maybe some employers are not aware that the contribution, the 3%, it qualifies for tax exemption. So it can be written off as an expense in their income statement.
I didn't know that.
So many of them do not know that. So it does all of that.
And of course, on the employee side, it allows the employee, of course, to access a suite of NHT benefits to include refund of contributions, loan benefits. We spoke earlier about grants and special home improvement loans and all these sweeteners that the NHT has. But before we get into all of the pot and take something out of the pot, you have to ensure that your contributions.
Yes.
You mentioned as well the importance of employers just generally being a little bit more conscious and taking accountability. What is that framework like at NHT as it relates to working through with the employers to ensure that perhaps they're listening, they say, I want to make those contributions, I'm probably not in the position. Or probably think that, I need an accountant, I need, all of this other additional expense. What's the level of support generally that the NHT provides?
We do assist our employers. Once they come in, we will walk them through the process. We assist them with filing their returns. We assist them once they provide the information to us. We can assist them in even their calculations. So we encourage them to come on in, not to stay away and assume that they will not get the assistance at the NHT. That's what we're there for, the compliance department.
Right. And some of their general obligations are, the filing of annual returns. Why is that important?
The returns are very, very important. So the returns is what tells what the employer has been doing over the period. So the employer has been paying on a monthly basis.
Right.
NHT does not know for whom they are paying. So at the end of the year, when they file the annual returns, it gives an account of all the employees for which the statutory deductions, contributions were paid, as well as the employer's information.
Right.
So it gives us information like the name of the employees, their NIS, TRN, and the amount being paid for each employee. So it is very crucial that we get those information because it assists again with the contribution refund.
Right.
It assists with loans. So until the returns are filed, NHT would not know the employees that they are being paid for.
Which also means, Delia, that filing has to also be accurate. So things like spelling of names, things like putting your right NIS, right TRN, all of that must be up to date, right?
Must be correct. And that is why when employers are employing individuals, ensure that they get their tax registration number, their NIS, because it is crucial at the end of the year to reconcile the return. Because an employee can come in with a different number and we're not finding that on the system. And it poses a problem because, they're going to be getting frustrated.
Right.
They maybe go back to the employer to say that you have not been paying my taxes, when in fact it is being paid, but the information is incorrect. So we usually have a workaround with that, though. We ask the employer to send the correct information, and then we can make the adjustment on the system.
We're seeing innovation more and more as it relates to Jamaicans from COVID onwards, meaning more people are starting their business, supplementing probably traditional incomes with additional, some side hustles. Let's call them what they are. They may think that, I don't need to register this, I don't need to pay no contributions on that. That's true?
Not at all. Once you are gainfully employed, that you're earning minimum wage and over, you must, it's a requirement by law, contribute to the National Housing Trust. And it's a contributions. When the person's looking forward to January 1.
Of course.
Okay.
you get it back in your refunds, anyway. And so if you have a small business, you might think, the side hustle not important. They can still contribute to NHT actually. Pay on that side hustle, make those contributions as a self-employed contributor, and you can still get your housing benefit, right?
Yes, does happen.
And finally, Delia, probably just some tips you want to leave with the business owners, the self-employed people who are listening, just some key compliance takeaways as it relates to managing their affairs,
It's never
especially
too
with the
much to
NHT?
say that you must be compliant. And it's not just that it benefits the employers. As we said, it benefits the employees because all of us as Jamaicans want to own a piece of our country.
Yes.
So that's so yes. And so once the employers make the contributions, it allows their employees to apply to the NHT for a benefit. Most of us will only own our homes through NHT.
That's true.
Yes. And so we encourage our employers. I want to encourage our employers too. Note that if you are in arrears, don't stay away. Don't be afraid to come and talk with us. We're reasonable people. We're not going to take you to court immediately as you come. We will work things through with you. So we encourage you to come on any one of the offices, talk with our compliance officers or compliance inspectors. They are equipped and ready to assist.
All right. Thank you very much, Delia. So there you have it. The importance of compliance. If you're a business owner, micro, small, medium enterprise, charitable institution, and you're behind on those NHT contributions, there's an amnesty out now. You can apply by December 31 for a nice, sweet 100% waiver. You can, of course, visit the NHT's website, nht.gov.jm, for more information on that and how to submit your application. Do stay with us. Delia spoke about, how businesses benefit and how businesses actually flourish when they are compliant. We're going to be talking to one of those businesses when we come back.
Young people, we hear you know. We know that you are on the home ownership journey too, and we want to help you with those goals. So the NHT just made home ownership easier for you. Every NHT scheme built will see at least 10% of the houses or lots reserved for contributors under 36 years old. This means more opportunities to get on the property ladder. Contribute for just 1 year and you're eligible, so you can start owning your home sooner with the NHT. Apply for NHT scheme developments when they're advertised and you're one step closer to home ownership. Visit nht.gov.jm to learn more and to see if you qualify.
Welcome back and thanks so much for staying with us. We are now in the final segment of our presentation and we're still talking compliance. Still with me is Delia Williams, Compliance Manager, and we're now joined by Jean-Pierre Kavanagh of Laundry Center Company Limited. And we added this segment because we wanted to highlight and big up a business that's doing it right, but also to hear the other side of the story, how the businesses treat matters of compliance. So welcome, Jean-Pierre.
Thank you for having me.
All right, firstly, let me ask you, tell me a little bit about your business.
So I'm not going to tell you about my business Brand House Studio, but I'm here on behalf of the Laundry Center Company Limited, which was established in 2011. So the Laundry Center provides the normal laundry services, washing, drying, ironing, dry cleaning. But the service that we're most proud of is the fact that we pick up and deliver. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the size of your order. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the value add that we give to our clients, that, lets them know that we go the extra mile.
What's your connection to laundry company though?
So my connection to Laundry Center is that run by a close family member. So
okay.
And we talk business from time to time. So I'm here.
All right. So you're wearing two hats here, or representing two businesses.
Two compliant businesses.
Two compliant businesses. Look at that.
I like that, sir.
Two compliant businesses. What's the experience like being a small business owner?
It is rewarding but challenging, and I don't think any business owner would tell you that business isn't challenging, simply because you have so many things to think about on a daily basis. I mean, if you're running your business, well, you're thinking suppliers, you're thinking staff, you're thinking compliance, the 15th of every month, you're thinking annual returns, and because you have a core business, you are doing compliance activities on top of what you do on your day-to-day. So it can be a lot, but to know that you had an idea and then it came to fruition, and I mean, the proof of the pudding is in having customers, having repeat customers, having people that do business with you over time, to know that that little idea that you had became something that's much bigger, something that can sustain you, something that can sustain other people. It's extremely rewarding.
And you mentioned that it can be challenging sometimes, but you also proudly say you're compliant. And both businesses are compliant.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? How do you balance that, ensuring that it's not just about the client and the client's needs, but to ensure that the business in and of itself, as it relates to, being up to date with those statutory obligations, are also, you're also doing well in that regard.
All right, so I'll talk about my business first. So when we were in planning, before we had our first client, we knew that we have to pay the business as well. So the business needs to make a profit because the way we treat it, the business has to pay its expenses. Business has to pay suppliers, the business has to pay its staff. Remaining compliant is just one of those expenses, which means that when you have steady income, which fortunately enough for us, we were able to plan out a model that allows for that, you devote a portion right off the bat. That may mean paying yourself a little bit less from the jump, but knowing that when it's time for filing, you don't have to be scrambling, you don't have to be worrying, because all of these things are handled. Now for the laundry center, again, it is challenging at times. I think the biggest challenge came out of COVID. And just talking to other business owners and feeling the downturn, your income is no longer as predictable.
Right.
But what we saw with the laundry center in particular, when it came to compliance, especially coming out of that, is that a lot of the agencies were willing to work with us in a restorative way. Not necessarily a way to say, it's punitive, because we understand that we're going through a pandemic. You really don't have it. And it doesn't make sense to try to, in other words, take blood from stone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Delia, you want to comment on that?
What I like doing is the fact that he would have had a list of all his expenses, all that they need to do, and among that was the compliant aspect of it. So you realize right away that's a business who really takes into consideration their employees, as well as to know that the business is actually doing well and complying with the laws of the land. I must commend you on that.
I've never quite heard it put like that. Like, it is an expense. We treat it as an expense of the business. It's just another thing that we do and not some kind of added on burden. But why that approach, Jean-Pierre? Why do you see it that way? And why do you think, this whole matter of compliance is that important?
All right, so now I can speak from both businesses' point of view. The laundry center does a lot of business with the government.
Right.
And one of the core requirements of doing business with the government is a tax compliance certificate.
Right.
Which means that it is in your business's interest to have that TCC, because that generates some of the revenue that you'll then use to pay your compliance fees so that you can get another TCC.
Full circle.
And that is also the approach that we take with my company, Brand House. And we take that same approach with companies that we advise, because the government, and an article came out, I think, yesterday, where the government public procurement commission was saying not enough small, medium businesses are doing or engaging the government. There are contracts that are out there. And if you do your work the right way, you cost it out properly, you can actually have a fairly lucrative and rewarding relationship with the government.
Yes. So go register upon GoJep. You're a small business owner. You listed the conversation. Go register upon GoJep. But one of the things Jean-Pierre touched on, Delia, is a tax compliance certificate. You want to shed a little more light on that?
So he would have seen the benefit to see that in order to do business in Jamaica, we must have a tax compliance certificate. And so that was fore and foremost in the minds of his business as well as his family member business. That compliance certificate, the tax compliance certificate, is a requirement to do business in Jamaica.
And what are those requirements to get the TCC? And perhaps if someone is listening, watching, how do they get one?
From the NHT aspect, you must be compliant with NHT, because prior to now, we would prepare the physical form and give it to the customer, they take it to TAJ. No, we just upload the information on the system. There are some who still wants to have that. So once you are compliant with NHT, we will give you a clearance letter that says to the tax administration department, this individual is up to date, and hence he can go ahead getting his tax compliance certificate.
And Jean-Pierre, you mentioned the challenges earlier. What perhaps are some of the strategies whether it is through your business brand house or laundry center, that you perhaps had to ensure that, okay, if we do these things, then we won't have a compliance problem at the end of the day. What perhaps are some of the actual strategies that you implemented to ensure you stayed on top of things?
All right, so it's very tempting. You get into business to say, you know, my business is making $100,000. I'm going to take the entire 100,000 because, you know, I worked for it. I had this idea, I started my business, now it's time to pay myself. It's understanding that you might have to defer some of that, ensuring that, yes, you're paying your staff, but when you pay your staff, there needs to be money left over to pay your portion of their obligations. And ensuring as well that, you know, at the end of the year, that you can reconcile all the payments that you had made.
And you touched on some of the benefits earlier, one of them being from the laundry center point of view, just being able to get those government contracts. But generally, what would you say are some of the benefits of ensuring that you're compliant, whether they have to do with government or probably just your relationship with other clients as well?
Well, yeah, primarily, if you're looking at it from an income generating standpoint, it will be government contracts, but there are also businesses that will not do business with you if you don't have a TCC. Banking is also very important. So it's, for businesses, it's very difficult to start a bank account without a TCC. Many banks will not open a bank account for you without a TCC. But really and truly, even if you're not doing business with the government or you already have your bank accounts, it just helps you sleep well at night. You know that none of the agencies,
peace of mind.
None of the agencies will be carrying you to court, because trust me, going to court is not a really fun experience.
and time consuming.
Yeah, very time consuming. And the compliance cases, I mean, from what I've observed, they're way down in the day. You're not going to go to court and be seen right away and be sentenced. So you don't really, you know, time is money. You don't want to be wasting time or money.
You've had quite a journey, and you've shared the experience. Probably there's someone out there watching, thinking, you know, I have this business idea. I want to probably jump at it, but I probably think it's just too much, and you know, all of that. What would be your word of advice to them?
No, I can wear my brand house hat. So from that point of view, if you have a business idea, the best thing to do is to test and validate first. So talk to people, not necessarily the people around you, because friends and family will say, you know, yes, go for it. But talk to people who you don't know, or talk to people who you're less familiar with. But also see what conversations people are having. So see what conversations people are having in business, see what needs other businesses may have. And I'd say other businesses, especially in a market like Jamaica, because individuals will not necessarily give you as reliable an income stream as B2B can. And that's just from my point of view. So see what kind of problems you can solve. And if you know that you can solve that problem, then that's the first step. The next step is to look at, can you solve that problem cost effectively? Because it doesn't make sense to be in business and be making a loss.
All right.
So can you solve that problem? And at the end of the day, when people pay you, and if you're doing products, you buy your products, you pay import duties if you're shipping them in, you're paying your overheads. Do you still have a profit at the end of the day? That alone is enough proof of concept, I think, to go on the business. So I have a simple formula. It's, can you guarantee margin over time? And if you have margin over time, then you can do business. And that business can sustain itself forever. Yeah.
And Delia, to the same individual who may be considering starting the business, from a registration standpoint, getting NHT in the picture, what can you outline about that process?
If I were able to sing, I would sing for you. It's a one-stop shop. You know? Prior to now, you know, the different organizations would be going, the new business owner would have to go to the Companies Office of Jamaica. They would need to go to the Tax Administration Department, the NIS and the NHT, and it was so much hassle. Now, you visit the Companies Office of Jamaica, and you are able to complete what we call a super form. You know, once it says super, everything is included, all the organization. So once that is completed, what the company's office does is to forward it. They would send the information to the tax administration department for a tax registration number, your TRN. And then they would send to the NIS as well for a NIS reference number. So once all that comes in, it is now electronically transmitted to NHT. NHT getting all that information is for us now at the compliance department to make contact with our customers. We want to build a relationship with them. We want to walk them through the process as to how they make their payments, how they do their filing. And of course, it will be beneficial for us because of course we will be getting more in the net.
Yes. Which allows us to do more things such as build houses. You know, if you wonder where the money comes from to build the houses that are needed in Jamaica, it actually comes through being compliant and ensuring that those NHT contributions are made and are up to date. All right. So there you have it. You heard from Jean-Pierre from the business owner standpoint, the importance of ensuring that they're up to date with those statutory deductions generally, and just ensuring that, you know, business compliance, it make you feel good, it make you sleep good at night, you know, have nothing to worry about, nobody now come knock on your door and carry go. It's not a bad thing, guys. It's actually not a bad thing. And you also heard from Delia the general tips and the general advice. But of course, the conversation will stop here on this forum, but you can always reach out to us anytime. We're at weekhere@nht.gov.jm. You can also reach out to the compliance department, compliance@nht.gov.jm. One thing left for me to do is to just say thank you. Thank you for staying tuned to this our webinar. And until next time, take care of yourself and, dare I say it, stay compliant. Thanks for joining us.